Hi and welcome to today's video of Try ABA, where we're going to talk about the functions of behavior. So if you're a BCBA already, you should know these. This video and content is going to be geared towards everybody else interested in learning the functions of behavior, or the why, the reason behind behavior. What is the function? It's the why. Why do we behave? Why do we do what we do? If we can understand and determine what the reason for our behavior is, it will better help us support and help modify and change that behavior moving forward. So I'm going to break it down in 4 primary reasons, 4 primary functions of behavior. There's no rhyme or reason for the order. This is just the order I always kind of talk about them. They are attention, escape, tangible, and automatic. So let's break them down. Just keep in mind, I'm going to share examples. There are typical everyday examples along with applied examples that I might see in more clinical practice. Just note that as a behavior analyst, it's not just I see this once and oh, that's the reason. I see it over and over again, and I do assessments. There's surveys. There's a lot that goes into determining the functions and the reasons behind behavior. So this is a very basic and oversimplified, for lack of a better word, as to the functions behind behavior. The first function we're going to talk about is attention. Essentially, it's a reaction. Attention is attention. That is always what I lead with, and it can be positive or negative. I can't tell you how many times a staff member or a parent has told me, but I yelled, I corrected. It doesn't matter. Whether you're yelling or praising, you're correcting or you're not. If you're giving attention to a behavior and that behavior keeps happening, the primary function is probably going to be attention. So an example would be a kid has a tantrum. That's always a go-to, is a nice, lovely tantrum. Who doesn't love a tantrum? Or we see everyone reacting when a toddler falls and looks at the parent and you react, now we see the crying behavior. If I spend all week at school doing all my assignments and just to earn alone time with mom and dad on Friday, if I do a good job, they take me out for ice cream and I work really hard and I'm getting that attention, and that's all I'm looking for is that attention on Tuesday, and I go to school and I swipe my teacher's desk. That night, my mom and dad give me a lecture, a 2-hour lecture in my room alone time. If all I'm looking for is that attention, that time with mom and dad, what am I going to do on Wednesday? Am I going to put the work in to do the assignments to get that treat with mom and dad, or am I just going to do what's easiest and quickest? That's typically what's going to reinforce behavior. Whatever I can do quickest to get that, I'm going to do, whether it is attention or our next example, which is escape. So escape, this is basically avoidance. You're going to engage in a behavior, you're going to do something in order to get out of doing something to avoid it. I see this a lot with chores. I will go do something else to avoid doing that chore. I might pick a fight with my husband so I don't have to do the dishes. We see it a lot with work. I might ignore that phone call from my boss if I haven't finished my project that I know they're calling about. I'm going to engage in behavior in order to escape or avoid a situation, a phone call, an activity, any of those kind of things. Number 3, tangible. Behavior is maintained by a tangible. Essentially, a tangible could be an item, it can be an activity. I even throw in information into tangible. So someone might engage in a behavior in order to get access to something. I see this a lot in a Walmart. I'm in checkout and I see a toddler having a tantrum because they want a candy bar. So they're engaging in that tantrum behavior in order to get that candy bar. In my practice as a clinician, I see it a lot sometimes with information. I have a client who will demand information continuously. It can keep asking questions and questions and questions, and I escalate into name calling. It might escalate into intimidation, like trying to bully somebody into giving them just basic information, everyday information, whether it's what's for dinner or when am I going on my outing. They're engaging in that behavior in order to get access to that thing. We see it a lot with technology, the apps, computer time, lots of fun things there. Number 4, automatic. And this is a tricky one for us behavior analysts because it essentially can happen at any time, for any reason, at any moment. You can be alone in a dark room and you would still engage in this behavior, or you can be in the middle of a concert surrounded by people and noises and things and smells, and could also engage in this behavior. It can get tricky. So we tend to break it down into two areas. You have sensory, so automatic sensory seeking behavior. So you tend to see this with kiddos and people diagnosed with autism. So the stereotypy, like the hand flapping, any kind of seeking any kind of sensory input. I know I do it a lot when I'm nervous. I talk with my hands. That's sensory. I'm seeking some sort of sensory input. I see it in meetings, everyday examples like pen clicking, foot tapping, hair twirling. I do tend to do that as well. That is some sort of sensory seeking. It is self-regulating, it is self-coping, it is self-soothing behavior. I'm going to do it regardless. I'm going to do it if I'm in front of a camera, or I'm going to do it if I'm just alone in my room doing whatever. The second area of automatic reinforced behavior is pain attenuation. Essentially, it's just some sort of coping with pain, some sort of physical diagnosis or physical pain. So a clinical or a more applied example, I've had a kiddo where we out of nowhere started seeing self-injurious behavior. This kiddo doesn't have a history of it, and all of a sudden one day just started smacking and hitting himself on the side of the head. A lot of people jump to conclusions and like, oh, we need a helmet, or we need to hold his hands down, we need to change it. And first off, I'm like, whoa, take a step back. Let's go to the doctor, go to the nurse. And it turns out this kiddo had an ear infection. So that it was automatic. We didn't see it, we didn't know it, but that's how he dealt with that pain. So that's just another side tidbit. We always want to rule out medical first before we start trying to change or modify behavior. But I see it a lot in working with adults with mental health diagnoses. Major depression. You can't see depression, but they might engage in behaviors that is how their depression manifests, right? That's how we see their depression, whether it's through refusal of hygiene tasks or isolation. It's an automatically reinforced behavior. They have depression, and this is how they show it. This is how we see it. Can we expect that to go to zero rates of behavior? No behavior? We don't want to see it? Not realistic. You can't teach somebody to not be depressed. That's a mental health diagnosis. But what we can do is how we can help is figure out how we can support them, how we can help them cope with it better and still maintain their everyday life. Whether it's self-reporting or journaling about it, or still engaging in healthier behaviors to help support them through those automatically reinforced behaviors. Okay, that was a lot. We dove into the 4 primary functions of behavior: attention, escape, tangible, and automatic. So my try ABA challenge for you all is to spend the next couple hours, minutes, whichever you prefer, observing your behavior or someone around you, and see if you can just take a step back and start to hypothesize about the why. Why are you doing that? Are you looking for a reaction from somebody? Are you looking for an escape from something? Are you looking for something tangible, that item, information, activity? Or is it automatic? Is it intrinsic for you? Do you accept the challenge?